Well, the advanced gastric cancer, as you may know, is an important disease as it affects a lot of people around the world. It is the fifth cancer in terms of prevalence. So, as you may imagine, this has a huge impact in terms of society burden. On top of this, for the third line setting, there are no treatments or there are no guidelines to treat those patients, which lead us to the point that we needed to better understand how this, well, one ones and the prevalence, and on the other hand, the lack of treatment, how this was impacting the burden of the disease and the impact on the society. So what we have done was to collect information on a pool of patients, and we are speaking about more than 2,000 of patients that were interviewed on this research. On this particular poster, we are focusing on 724 questionnaires that are the ones corresponding to those third line settings that I just mentioned. And also, of those, 248 patients also fulfilled a quality of life questionnaire. So during this, on this project, you can see information about productivity of patients, the impact also on the caregivers that support those patients, and in parallel, some information about healthcare resource utilization and also on the quality of life of the patients. So to give you an idea and putting this a little bit into perspective, we just realized with this research that 3 in 4 patients are not able to work, or they are on sick leave, or they are retired, or they are unemployed. But we are speaking about 74% of all the patients on the third line setting of advanced gastric cancer. Of those, 30% are unable to work due to the disease. And you may see how impactful this is. If at the same time you have seen in the poster, 40% of those need caregiver support, and this caregiver is on average around 50 hours a week of support. It's a long, a huge amount of care that is required. Most of the times, 76% of the cases, the support is provided by family, by close family, relatives or spouses, which are also unable to work to take care of those. So we collect the information that 82% of the patients are not, of the caregivers, are not able to work to look after their loved ones. This has a tremendous impact in terms of families, not only the income, but also the well-being, right? So, and sometimes we are not just speaking about work and about the income that comes directly from the work. We are speaking about the daily life that is affected. So if you are unable to look after your grandchildren, if you are unable to do your laundry, your gardening, take care of your house, psychological, you'll be affected. And this is crucial in terms of impact on everyone's life. This is all about families, this is all about caregivers, this is about the patient itself that really needs to have more support from the society. We as BMS, we really believe that it's important that the clinical, the pharmaceutical, and also the advocacy groups, that everyone works together to find new programs that can in a certain way support those families and get more ways to overcome and to lower the burden of the disease. We know that there are some limitations on our study because this is a questionnaire that is answered by the patient. So they can opt not to, it's not a clinical trial, so they can opt not to reply to it. So if we assume that the ones that are worst in terms of condition and are psychological affected are not able to fulfill the questionnaire. So we assume that the results, if everyone was replying, they could even be lower than what we have seen. The difference between the patients with the disease and the normal population would be bigger than what was said. So it's important to minimize this. We need new drugs coming to the market. It's really important to have it. And we also need programs to support the families with the daily difficulties and with the limitations that are caused by the disease.
Okay. Well, that covers my next question. So I think that's all I've got to ask. Was there anything else that we didn't mention?
I think we have mentioned everything. Well, we are committed to work. BMS is already leading some conversations with other stakeholders in order to, in a certain way, to develop programs and to create things that are feasible on each country. The needs and also the possibilities of implementing studies is also different around countries. And we need to really find what can be helpful and how can we support the families.